Perfect. Well, in the interest of time, I think we'll get going. I want to keep everyone on track, and thank you for taking time out of your day to come and learn some cybersecurity. So, yeah, this is our Lawyers Getting Hacked webinar. So it's going to be talking about different things in the cybersecurity landscape and a little bit tailored to lawyers as well. Sorry about that. So let's talk about why you may be here. Law firms, they hold sensitive client data. Growing cyber attack risks. Obviously, there's devastating consequences, proactive security measures, and protecting systems, data, and educating staff. And I just want to go through what we might be talking about today. So we'll obviously talk about myself and a little bit about our company to get to know us. We'll talk about the current threat landscape as it is today, ways to mitigate and protect your law firm against this, a little self-test to see how well you are currently protected. So we're actually going to do a little hands-on there, and responding to an attack. Are you prepared? Then we'll wrap up with a summary and the next steps to go from there. So you might be wondering who we are. So my name is Mitch Redekopp. I'm the owner of Rivercity Tech here in Saskatoon. So we've been in service for about 8 years and doing different things. We do managed IT services, software development, pretty much all things technology. We have a cybersecurity first approach, and that's kind of the difference between us and maybe some other companies in the city. We really like to dig deep into each business we work with, assess how you run the business, the data you hold, the risks that are present, and how we're going to manage it properly for you. We like to say we're going to protect your revenue, your reputation, and your legacy. So it's more than just being your IT guy, right? Last year in 2022, at the end of the year, we were super proud to be awarded the Emerging MSP Award. That was a global competition as well. So also a two-time best-selling author. I co-authored one cybersecurity book, and then also co-wrote a chapter there for Conversations Over Coffee, a local book that was put on by Janet Dutton, if you know her, local entrepreneur here in the city. Perfect. All right, well, current threats. So we're going to talk about the state of cybercrime. Cyber attacks are way up. Things are getting out of control. One of the bigger things is 50% of small and mid-sized businesses, they're experiencing at least one cyber attack in the last year. So I mean, that's small and mid-sized, right? That's who people are targeting. One of the other key points in this one I like is over 80% of businesses that pay a ransom will get attacked a second or more times. So it's important to note that don't always go straight for paying a ransom. It's not always the safest thing to do. And if you do, you get put on that list. You're now a known payer. That list is going to get distributed. There is things like ransomware as a service where people that have just any kind of moral flexibility will sign up to become a hacker, and that's the kind of list that they'll get delivered to them. Is, hey, these people have already paid, and go after them again. There's a family lawyer in Alberta. I think it's just recently been happening where they have an email compromise situation going on. They actually had some good stuff in place, like a geolocation was set. So nobody outside of Canada was able to get in, but due to like a man-in-the-middle proxy attack, they were able to send an email where the victim, actually signed in with their credentials, the username, the password, the two-factor authentication, and they were able to take that and use it to kind of get into their email system. So what happens there is you want more technology being in place. There's different things where we have a secure access service edge where you have a more IP-based system where we can actually lock down based on just these certain IPs where that kind of man-in-the-middle attack would have happened. But we're going to speak more about that kind of stuff down the road. We just don't want to cut any corners there and make sure that we actually have everything in place. So after looking at this slide and reading through those things, I want to know what you think the biggest cybersecurity threat in your business may be. If you're thinking of your employees, you're right. So I love this video from Jimmy Kimmel. It was about 6 years ago. It's funny, but it's also pretty terrifying. So let's have a watch.
We've been hearing a lot asking them to tell us this is how that went.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Has you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday,
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th,
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie, 6/12/95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468, and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gemma. 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so
like what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, now you know my password. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the important thing is they
Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, what we took from that is obviously, us as humans are the #1 threat out there, and that's where the business email compromise is so important. It's where most attacks are happening now because we can be so easily fooled, right? And giving out information like that. So, social engineering and being prepared for that kind of stuff is important. Awesome. Okay. So, with different threats facing lawyers, we're talking about the common attacks, phishing attacks, malware attacks, ransomware attacks. Like I said, the business email compromise too. 90% of cybersecurity breaches are due to human error. So once again, it touches right back on that. And that's where we need to put the most effort. It is happening right here to businesses. No matter how big or small your business is, you're bound to get attacked. So lots of different headlines. Obviously, it's not that you're too big or too small to get attacked. It's too small to make the news. I mean, a lot of them are usually bigger ones. And city of Saskatoon, same thing. Business email compromise. Someone got in. Someone sat there for a long time trying to figure out how to get in and change that vendor information. And sure enough, they sent money to the wrong person in the end. So definitely very relevant. In 2022, the cost of cybercrime was actually 8.2 trillion. So it just keeps going up. And I think that's actually above what they projected in 2020, what was going to happen. So it's getting worse and worse. So financials and reputational costs of a security breach. It's important, to have a good realization of what actually happens during a security breach. It's not as simple as recovering your data. There's a lot of costs associated afterwards as well. And that's why 60% of small businesses will close within 6 months of a data breach. Depending how much client data you have, how much sensitive data, vendors, partners, anything you're working with, where you might actually need to go and set up a call center, notify each and every single one of them that you had a breach, that their data may be compromised, handling the calls that come in when you maybe send out an email, what it does to your reputation and your brand image, the revenue that you're not making because you're spending time reacting to this instead. It's, you can have your cyber insurance and have it pay out, but you're still going to be spending, lots of time just handling this kind of thing, the after effect, instead of actually doing what you do best. So we understand, there is risk out there, but how can you mitigate it, right? There's, lots of things. Unfortunately, mitigation and preparing to react is the best we can do, and the best you can do as an organization. If there's anyone out there, any IT company, whoever, that promises you'll never get hacked if you do such and such, I mean, they're delusional. They're lying to you. It's just nothing we can promise anymore, right? It's how are we going to mitigate it? How are we going to be proactive and respond to it? Best practices for preventing cybersecurity threats. So let's look at some of the best practices. There's password security, two-factor authentication, security software recommendations. We're going to break them down just a little bit more here for you. Yeah, so password managers, I mean, we use Keeper MSP is one of them. It's just such an important tool. I think, you know, you can have it browser-based, desktop-based, you can have it on your phone. You kind of have that one password to log in. If you're using something such as Microsoft Suite, where you maybe have Azure Active Directory set up, you can do a single sign-on, making it, you know, more secure and easier to manage. Less things for you to remember. That's the key, right? All these passwords that are stored in your password manager, they should be scrambled. You should maybe never even know what they were. And you'll have better access that way. So keeping those unique, updating, rotating your passwords on a regular basis is also pretty key. Security software. So the Secure Access Service Edge, I was speaking of that before, it's actually a software-based firewall. So it's, instead of that typical one that you might see in your office in the network room, it's also a software-based firewall sitting on your actual devices, whether it's your laptop or your desktop, even on your phone. That can be, it moves with you, and it basically will have a block of IP addresses that you can whitelist for extra protection. We can put those into different ways of getting into different applications that you might use, different software as a services that are out there. Yeah, and the best part about that is it's a network, you know, it's cloud controlled. So we're able to put all the policies in place that you would with a normal firewall, except this will move with you, right? You can have it wherever. Land zero trust, you're basically being a ghost. So that'll be on your device as well. So if you have a laptop and say, you know, you got all your client data on there or access to different things, you know, you would be going out, maybe you're going to Starbucks, maybe you're going to Mexico, doesn't matter where you bring it. If you can join the Starbucks guest Wi-Fi, you're still going to be a ghost. No one else is going to be able to see you. They won't see your device. You know, you'll still have those same protective policies in place. Maybe you're at home with the kids that are, you know, playing on their different games and everything like that. You're sharing the same network, but knowing that you're protected because you're under that firewall, the same corporate kind of firewall that you might have at your office. Same thing if you're down in Mexico or wherever, it's the same thing. You're under that firewall. You're saying you can rest assured that you're secure no matter which Wi-Fi you're joining that way. And then two-factor authentication, obviously you got enhanced security, turning the phishing and mitigate the breaches. So two-factor is a huge thing to turn on. It's the most simple step, and without it, I mean, you're leaving yourself wildly vulnerable. I know it's one of those biggest annoyances for a lot of people, but it is just the most simplest thing to turn on. Best practices for preventing cybersecurity threats. So here's another one here. We got encryption, device security, securing your networks, and social engineering awareness, which we talked about previously there. Yeah, so backups. I mean, there's backup encryption, right? This is like a secret safe where you'll store copies of all your important files. If anything happens to the original, you know, it's still safe and sound, and it's only accessible to those with the secret key. Desktop encryption, it's like adding that hidden lock on your computer, right? Keeping your confidential files secure. Email encryption, you can send messages in like a super secret language that only your trusted colleagues can decode. That way, you know, keep those private conversations safe. Land zero trust, I mean, we talked about that already, but it's basically like you know, exclusive club where, you know, everything in there is, you're starting with a zero trust policy. Basically, you don't trust anything. So your device maybe won't know anything about the device sitting next to you. I mean, there could be 100 of you in your law firm, but no device will even know about each other. That way, if one of them gets infected, you know, it's hard for that to kind of hop to different devices and infect the whole network that way. Isolated corporate networks, making sure that you actually have, you know, your network separated from the guest network and that kind of stuff as well. Keeping your network hardware up to date. I mean, if you guys have switches, maybe you have your own physical firewall, making sure that you actually are patching those, licensing them correctly, that kind of stuff as well is very important. So social engineering awareness, phishing awareness training. So like we were talking about before and watching that video, you know, social engineering awareness is the biggest thing. We need to make sure that our employees are up to date all the time. You teach them to spot and avoid, you know, any bait of online scammers. Don't let them get hooked and compromise sensitive information, that kind of stuff. Business email compromise, learning to identify the email tactics that the attackers are using nowadays. Deepfake video training. I mean, that's going to be one thing that we need to really watch out for, especially with how AI is coming along. You know, there's going to be deceptive videos out there. There's going to be people manipulating our faces and now grabbing voice recordings and manipulating our voices and lots of different things that we need to start looking out for and be prepared for. For the device security, so antivirus, setting up a digital guard dog. That's basically what it is, right? They're going to sniff out potential threats and alert you, keeping you safe from that. Software-based firewall, we just talked about, getting that fortress set up and going with you wherever you're going. And then security policies. You want to kind of get that baseline of security in your business, right? Create a set of rules, best practices. Everyone needs to follow them. And if everyone follows them, working together, that's going to be the best way to keep you guys protected and keep your information protected. So that brings us to our self-test. So what we're going to do is called a DMARC test. But what is DMARC? So DMARC, basically, easiest way to say it is, I guess it's like a secret handshake between your email friends, right? When someone sends you an email, they have to do the secret handshake with your mailbox, and if they know the right moves and follow the rules, the mailbox will let them in, right? But if they don't know the secret handshake, or they break any of the rules, the mailbox will stop the email, keeping you safe from any kind of pretend friends, I guess, and their sneaky messages. So how can we do a DMARC test? I'm going to throw it in the chat as well, but if you want to grab that there, I'll put the link for you, and probably that should show up now in the chat for you. And I'll give you guys just a minute there if you want to give it a go. Basically, just head to that website, and in that domain health checker, type in your domain. Just like for us, it would be rivercitytech.ca. Then just hit check domain, and we can see what kind of results you get. Perfect. Okay. So what we should be seeing is green check marks across the board. DMARC, we just talked about that. You might get a little, if you don't get quite, I think it's a yellow or something like that. It might be just set to quarantine, which is still, it's good. It's not perfect. You want it to be set to reject, but the quarantine part, at least that means that your IT company does have the DMARC going. Generally, if it's red, that means that DMARC hasn't even been looked at, and that's something you should definitely want to bring up with them and have that looked at. SPF. So SPF, having a valid record there. It's like that special list that your mailbox has that has the names of the friends who are allowed to send you emails to begin with. And then those friends obviously need that handshake. And then DKIM, the DKIM record. It's like a special sticker that goes on the email when it's sent. It just, it's made for the person sending the email, like almost like a secret signature. And then when you get that email, the mailbox will check the stickers there if it matches, and if it does, great. If not, it gets stopped right away. So having these three things in place will give you great results, especially for that business email compromise and avoiding all that spoofing and the phishing and kind of the biggest thing that we're seeing going, right? So perfect. Yeah, hopefully you guys had time to take a look at that and get your results going. So we're heading on over to responding and recovering. So how to respond when attacked. I mean, it's important to contain the breach. Obviously, taking immediate steps, such as disconnecting any affected systems from the internet to isolate the breach, if that's kind of what you have in place. It's always going to vary from each of your law firms and who your IT is and what they have in place. But good rule of thumb is obviously if one device is affected, to isolate that if you can, however that is in place. Now, if you have cyber insurance, that should really be the first thing that you reach out to. Reach out to your insurance company. They may have certain organizations that they require you to use when handling that situation, and you want to make sure that you go through the proper steps with them. And if you're not 100% sure about the insurance and all that kind of stuff, you may contact your IT team. They'll help you with the process, and they probably should have helped you build out that response plan in the first place, so that everybody is kind of aware of what to do. Working with the cyber insurance, figuring out who they require, and then your IT team probably should have that plan in place with you as well. So. Then how to recover when attacked. So, you responded to it, but how do we recover? I mean, there's going to be lots of different scenarios depending on what exactly the the situation was, right? Whether they stole money, whether they stole data, did they actually sell your data for money? What do you need to do? Your business continuity plan, I mean, that's in place to help you understand how to continue running the business in any kind of disruptive incident, right? So making sure that that was built out and you got that in place. Then having a forensics team, you know, they'll be through and they'll be doing a thorough assessment of the incident. They'll understand all the affected systems, the networks, any of the data that was affected, and determine what was compromised and how best to recover that. Having a comprehensive plan in place to restore your systems, networks, and data is so key. And then, you know, communication and the ongoing monitoring, right? We want to make sure that employees, customers, you know, partners, any vendors or anything that you're working with, they need to be informed about the incident and the steps you're going to take to address it. If there's anything we learned in the past few years from, you know, some of the bigger events out there that we've seen in the news, it's definitely better to be transparent. Hiding a breach can be hugely damaging to reputation, and it's not something that people are too happy with when you're trying to hide it under the rug. So definitely be transparent and make sure we're taking the right steps there. All right, so training and awareness for cybersecurity best practices. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to talk about one more time the importance of regular training. Regular training, it's so important in this industry. Your employees, they need at least monthly training. So some kind of phishing training, whether it's something that you guys are doing internally with your IT department as well, you know, maybe doing bi-weekly lunch and learns, weekly lunch and learns, whatever it may be, doing those phishing tests, getting the video sent out to do some micro learning, right? That kind of stuff as well. But yeah, your employees need that at least monthly to be aware of the most current threats. And if you do have an IT department, getting some sort of email communication out when, you know, new things are arriving, maybe they send out a blast saying like, these are things to be looking out for. That'd be super important as well. For us, you know, we as you know, cybersecurity individuals here, like we're part of 3 hours of cybersecurity training every single week. And every week we see new threats emerge. So it's very important for us. I mean, it's a weekly thing, right? It's just not one of those things where we can go to a conference every year or every 2 years and get up to date on what we need to know about the latest and the greatest. It's ever changing. It's daily. So yeah, we got to make sure that we're up to date. And that just kind of shows how important it is for your employees to be retrained on that information as well. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about a cybersecurity risk assessment, or just kind of IT risk assessment in your business. So CSRA is what we like to call it, or cybersecurity risk assessment. It's an important part of understanding the risk inside your law firm. You know, able to test on many things, such as exposed passwords, how well trained your employees are by, you know, sending them those phishing emails and gathering those results. So these are all the things that we'll find and we'll present to you. I mean, we do a little education piece. We also show you, you know, what have we found inside your business as well. SaaS alerting. So you'll see this, cover your SaaS t-shirt. Super important because I mean, nowadays, I mean, everybody is using tons and tons of online applications, correct? I mean, it's not just Microsoft or one-off things anymore. We're talking about probably everyone's using 30 or so. So it's important to have the SaaS alerting, and we see how actively targeted your logins are. So we'll actually present a report showing how many times people have tried to get in to any of your email addresses or any of your accounts. A full network audit to see if your network is truly locked down. So we'll take a look at all your devices, all your network hardware, you know, the age of the devices, what kind of software is on them, and make sure we provide the report as well. There's a full analysis of all the data that you guys store in your law firms. See what type of data the criminals could steal, what kind of data they could sell, a breakdown of the value of all that data, which employee may be the most prone, and which one's kind of storing the most data, and being a target for the criminals. So we kind of take that almost like a criminal approach, where we use the same tools that they might use. We gather certain data and we kind of show you, you know, based on what we're finding, who do we think in the organization might be the most prone to be targeted, based on like the things like the phishing report. If they're clicking on links in the phishing emails, and then we're finding exposed passwords here. Like here's an example of a result, right? Like this is just a small organization. We found hundreds of exposed passwords we were able to extract easily. So a mixture of if we find these exposed passwords for say a financial officer, and then they're also clicking on the phishing links, and then we find out that they're kind of storing a whole bunch of this data locally as well. That could be a big target for the hackers, and we know that they're probably going to be the person that we should reach out to and try to infiltrate the most, because they're going to be the one with the most likelihood of doing something wrong. So once we find that information out, yeah, it's easy, right? The target has been found. And then we also discuss the true costs of a cyber attack to a law firm like yours, where there is the whole cost of what you lose, and then it's the cost of the after effect. The cyber insurance, like I said, it could pay out whatever kind of damages were taken initially, but it is what is the true cost? How much downtime, how much salary you lost, how much revenue you're not earning. Do you need to set up a call center for sending out the information, for getting the calls back after you send that information out? The forensics team and all that kind of stuff. So we walk through all those things. Super important, yeah. Perfect. And yeah, I mean, thanks for everyone for coming by. Appreciate it. We kind of ripped through that pretty quickly, only half an hour. I'm glad I was able to not take up too much of your time. Definitely left some time here for questions. So if anyone does have any questions, definitely I'll do my best to answer them. And if not, rest assured, I'll take down the question and get back to you. But yeah, feel free if you have anything to throw it in the Q&A. Perfect. So we have a question here. Says here, with lawyers continuing to adopt more and more legal tech in their practice, what are your best practices for evaluating legal tech providers from a security standpoint? So that's a great question. And I think for us, for any kind of software as a service, it really depends on what the legal tech exactly is. If it's something like they're the ones that are controlling your data, and maybe if you want to clarify that or not, but that's a big point too, is if they're the ones that are hosting your data. And we get that a lot, where they say, nothing to worry about because actually your data is stored with this company, and they're going to take care of it on their servers and in their cloud web. But you got to ask them, what exactly are they doing on a security standpoint? And that's something that we'd like to ask them. We get on calls with vendors and say, hey, what are you guys doing for security on your own organization? And then also things like, if our clients that are using your software say that their accounts get compromised, and then they get into this system that you guys own, and then a bunch of things happen and maybe all the data gets deleted, who's to blame there? And what are you guys doing to help us lock it down? So things to keep in mind. I mean, if you can lock down logins to that legal tech software via IP address, that's great as well. But it really depends, I guess, on if they are providing the login with their own accounts, or you're able to use your Microsoft logins to get into it, or how that works. But definitely being able to get your IT to talk to them and figure out what they're doing from a security standpoint is super key. So I hope that helped. If it didn't, yeah, please respond and I can clarify a bit more. Someone else said, why does someone need Keeper, the password manager, when my internet browser saves my passwords already? So that's a great question. And I'm actually going to head back to this one. So Keeper Password Manager actually will store that data and encrypt it, whereas keeping it on your internet browser already is easy target. It's plain text. It's not encrypted. It's easy to steal. As you can see here, like this information we're able to get by just running one script on a computer. So imagine that you get access to one computer. You can send this script and send it to all the computers. It checks every single browser and instantly extracts it, sends it up to our web server. And then bam, we have, hundreds of passwords that were just plainly exposed and able to be taken. So having in it something like a password manager definitely is a much better option, and it's something that we can't get as easily because it's encrypted. And thanks for that question. That was awesome. Any other questions? Let's give it another minute here to see if anything comes in. Perfect. So I think we're okay for now. So thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I'm just going to throw a link to our website in the chat as well. If you want to take a look at what we offer. Yeah, Rivercity Tech there. And make sure that you're looking up your Lawyers Getting Hacked webinar in the Law Society for your CPD credit, qualifying for ethics. I really appreciate everyone coming by. And if there's any more questions, let me know. You can reach me as well at mitch@rivercitytech.ca. Or like I said, just visit our website. Perfect. Yeah, appreciate you all coming by. And I'll actually have this recording available for 48 hours. So I can send that out as well if you kind of missed the beginning. That'd be good to rewatch. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for your time. I don't want to take up too much more of it. So appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great Friday and a great weekend. Okay, thank you.